Hi, Xiomy here. So today I wanted to do my January wrap-up. Now, I did read a couple of books. I didn't read many books in the month of January, but the ones that I read, some were like really good. Others were like, kind of okay. But let's get into this wrap-up. Is it even possible for a person to finish 2016 reading a certain book and also starting it again in 2017? I don't know, but that was me. I reread Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alida Steins, but I was hearing the audiobook by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh my god, was it so beautiful. I loved it. I enjoyed it. One of the many reasons I was scared about hearing the audio format of this book is because you have a lot of Spanish words in this book, and I did not want it to not be given the justice that it deserves, the way it's supposed to be pronounced. Y me enamoré. Oh, I loved it. I enjoyed it so much. It was something that was very pleasurable. Again, this is 5 out of 5 stars. This is one of my favorite books of all times. I've already read this book like I think 4 times, and I'm gonna continue rereading it because I keep on finding something new every single time I reread it. So I don't know, we'll see when I actually reread this book again in this year. The next book that I want to mention I'm a little bit iffy about. I mean, I know I'm going to continue this series because there's something that I really want to know, and I really did enjoy one specific character above all others. But the one that I'm speaking about is Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. Oh god, I gave this book like 3 point something, 375, something along those lines. I was enjoying it. The political intrigue of this book was very amazing. The matriarch that's being explained throughout the book is one that I really did love. The magic is something that I enjoyed because you have the poisoners. I do have to admit that the poisoners sometimes really did like disgust me as to how they were explaining certain things, but I really did love how they can wield poisons, and obviously they can ingest poisons. And then you have the naturalist. The naturalists were ones that I honestly loved above all others because they have familiars, and I really did enjoy that, you know, that you have a certain animal that gets tied to you, and it's this bond that you form with that animal, and depending on the animal is how powerful you are as a person. That's something that I have to admit that I really did love. The naturalists are the ones that I fell in love with. And then you have the elemental, which obviously can wield any kind of powers about earth, you know, like thundering and whatnot, and they were okay. And in the beginning you really do love, or you like, let me say like, every single protagonist that's being mentioned because you get points of views from every single one of these queens. Like a real genuine plot you don't have in this book. You have subplots that lead me to the main event, which is that festival that's going to happen, and basically they have to flaunt how powerful they are. But like I was saying, you really do get to like every single one of these characters as they are being portrayed in the book. But as you continue to read from them, you start noticing that you're not liking certain one of them. And the one that I really like hated the most was Mirabella. Okay, this book has a stupid ass love triangle, one that I didn't care for, nor that I saw that it should have happened in this book. Because it served no purpose, honestly. I mean, how can you tell me that there's a person that is proclaiming his undying love towards this person, and then all of a sudden he goes, you know what? I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to be completely infuriated while I'm discussing this book, and I don't want to portray how badly this book infuriated me, especially in that point. But like I mentioned, I really did love one specific character, and she was the side character. She was basically the sidekick, the one, and she's Jules. I love Jules. Oh, she was so beautiful, so brilliant, so loyal, so fierce, and I enjoyed her so much. And I did like what was it, the naturalist queen, but I don't remember her name because her name is like really difficult to pronounce, so I'm gonna write it somewhere around there so you can see it. But I really did like her. I enjoyed her. I felt sorry for Catherine. I felt somewhat sorry for her, but the ending is where you have plot twists and turns, like so many are happening, because in the beginning it's like completely slow, very slow, but the ending has so many plot twists and turns, like I mentioned, and they are very enticing. And there's one thing that happened where it closed off that I was like, what? But you kind of understand like why was it that certain things were happening, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. But overall, I'm gonna continue this series because I want to know what happens, or what Jules is going to do, and I want to know what happens to 2 specific queens, because Mirabella, I did not give a crap about her, but I just want to see where is it going to lead off to. But it was an okay reading experience, not one that really thrilled me. The next book that I'm gonna mention is one that I utterly loved so much, and I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and that one is Heartless by Marissa Mayer. Oh my god, did I love this book. I loved path. I love jest. This is a backstory to every single character in Alice in Wonderland, and you can feel how whimsical the story is. And I just loved Kath's tenacity. I love the fact that she wanted to be a baker and like everything was against her. And even though you know how it's going to end, there's this optimistic side of myself that wanted to root for something else, even though I knew it was gonna happen in the end. This book makes you want to root for the alternate path, and that was something that I was like, oh, if that would happen, I would be so beautiful. But then again, you wouldn't have anything that happened in Alice in Wonderland. But I enjoy that you have all these characters and they have like different professions or different jobs, but they were included there, and you have some quotes from Alice in Wonderland. That this book is just, it's so magical, it's so whimsical, it's so lovely, it's so enjoyable. And I devoured this book because it was something that was very entertaining to actually read about. And I know that I'm going to read any book that Marissa Mayer prints because they're just simply amazing. I also forgot to mention that Heartless and this one, which is the one that I'm going to speak about in a few minutes, The Reader, I did read both of these, or I tried reading both of these during the Biennial Bibliothon, because I participated in 2 readathons, but I failed horribly in both of them. But we're gonna continue, right? I managed to read this one even though I read it during the month of January, and I really have to admit that I enjoyed it. You don't have that much of a world building, but I didn't care. Honestly, I honestly did not care for that because I really did love 2 of your main characters. One isn't like your main character, more of a side character, but I'm gonna include him as your main character because Archer, oh my god, Archer was my Cinnabon. I loved him since the moment he was introduced, and oh my god, did he pain me. I mean, he was robbed of his childhood, but he was such a beautiful character because he is suffering from a post-traumatic stress. But I have to admit that the main character did annoy me a bit. At times it was like she would thrust into situations without actually like thinking about them, because like, yeah, let me go into this creepy cavern, probably nothing might happen. And I was like, what the hell is happening to you? You woman can't, I mean, like, what? I mean, I have to admit that some things were convenient for the protagonist, but overall I enjoyed the story and I loved it, and I loved how they were describing a book, because you have this book that's very powerful, but basically they don't know what is the essence of this book because they really don't know how to read. And even though you have some indications prior to her life, there were some things that should have been expanded a lot more on, because basically it's like she inherits a book, but they call it a rectangular object because she really doesn't know that that's a book until a little bit further on into the story. And I really did enjoy a lot of things that were happening. Some things that I was like, you know, it's a little bit far-fetched, but overall I really honestly did not care because I enjoyed these 2 characters, and like I said, a lot of things were convenient for them. The book is really slow. It is introducing pirates, but it's not overall in the entire story. You have sub-stories that basically are about pirates, and then in one way or another they are like intertwined with the main characters, but it isn't overly about pirates. But I really did enjoy this story, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And the final book that I read was The Sun Is Also the Star by Nicola Yoon. Oh my god. This is the second Nicola Yoon book that I read, but this one is the one that I really enjoyed the most because I was not expecting for it to turn out the way that it did. Because you have 2 main characters, and one is a Korean American and one is a Jamaican. And even though some things were like, especially about our main character, I keep on forgetting their names, but Natasha, oh my god, Natasha and Daniel, I really did enjoy everything that was happening between them. And there were some things that I really, oh my god, I did not understand, because it was like, sometimes Natasha would annoy me, I would have to say, because it was like, you have Daniel right there, just tell him the truth, you know, because she is about to be deported. She meets Daniel like that same day. These things happen in basically the span of one day, but that ending, oh, I was not expecting that ending, but the way it ended, it made me want more. But I love the fact that you get side stories from every character or every person that they actually meet, so you get to know these people's weaknesses and a lot of things that they have surpassed in their life. And there was one thing at the end that I was like, oh my god, wow. It was just something that was very shocking, but I really did enjoy it. But I really did enjoy this book. It was a very lovely reading experience, and I never had read a book about deportation. And the fact that Daniel was a poet, I was like, oh yes, he was so beautiful, and I loved everything that he was trying to do. Well, that's it for my January wrap-up. I want to thank you for watching. If you want to tell me down below your thoughts or anything, or which book was your favorite. To me, honestly, Heartless was my favorite overall, and then it was second, The Sun Is Also the Star, and the third would be The Reader. Those were like my 3 favorite books of the month. But I want to thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.